Hello to all. I'm Ishita Avasthi from Grid Council, and today's session is going to be about the basic concepts of LLM, that is, large language models, including how they work and their growing role in research. It will provide a simple overview of about LLM capabilities, followed by a brief discussion on the application and research workflows. The session will conclude with examples of AI tools and how LLMs are being used in public health research. Since we know that it is not a hidden concept right now, that AI has been integrated in all the sectors, and research is one of them. To begin with, let us understand what is artificial intelligence or AI. Lately, we have been surrounded by this word a lot, and this actually means as artificial intelligence refers to computer systems that can perform tasks requiring human intelligence, such as learning, reasoning, problem solving, and decision making. The key capabilities include learning from the data, pattern recognition, natural language processing, and most importantly, it helps us to make decisions. We have been incorporated with AI in our day-to-day lives, and some of the core examples are using of Google Maps, which helps us to find out the best and the most affordable route for us. Using of phone face lock application, which help us to maintain our phone privacy, and also voice assistants, which are available in our all devices. It has already been incorporated in our modern life. AI for all. What particularly significant about current era of AI is its accessibility. And those tools are no longer just confined to the technology companies. It has spread its arms across various sectors such as healthcare, whether it's automobiles, finance, surveillance, social media, robotics, agriculture, entertainment. And understanding how it works is also a no longer option available for all of us. Now let us understand what was the evolution of AI. To my surprise, in the 1950 itself, AI has been incorporated into the market. In 1950, AI has been incorporated in the form of rule-based logic. In 1980, the subset of AI called as machine learning has been come. What is machine learning? It is a part of AI where computers learns from the data and involved automatically without being programmed again and again. One of the very common example which we can understand it by Netflix recommending us movies based on what we have watched previously, or similarly with YouTube. Or maybe we can take an example of email spam filter learnings from emails which are already in our junk. Later on, if we move on to the timeline, in 2010s, we have something called as deep learning, the advanced version of ML or machine learning, where it uses artificial brain-like networks to learn very complex patterns. This leads to the evolution of self-driving cars, which automatically sees traffic and sees the person coming in front of them. It was also in the field of medical imaging in the form of tumor detection. Later on in 2020s, it was generative AI. Now, what is generative AI? That creates new content like text, images, video from just a prompt. Like AI creating an image from a text prompt, or writing long essays or stories for us. And at the present time, we are using LLMs, that is large language models. It is a subset of generative AI that understand and generate human language, or AI system trained on vast quantity of text data. So we all know that humans have so many number of languages in the form of their speech or text. So what happens to LLM? They are trained in such a way that they have been made to understand all the human languages which are present. And our today's session will be revolving around something like this. Again, LLMs are the AI models trained on large text data sets to understand and generate human-like language. They're mainly on two types, open LLM and local LLMs. What are open LLM? Some of the most common LLM types which we use in our day-to-day lives are maybe Chat GPTs, Google Gemini, Claude by Anthropic, Llama by Meta, Blooms are some of the examples which we use in our day-to-day lives. Now, to my surprise, these LLM models does not work on words, grammar, or syntax or punctuation. For example, if we have submit a query to an LLM, it does not read your message like we do read, like humans read. It works on something like numerical value called as tokens. So they convert every word into a numerical value, and in the back end, they used to process it and then come out with again human like text to us, which we read and think of it as a solution. Let us understand what tokens in AI actually works. So, for example, which we have put a text, human raw text called as "Hello World, AI is amazing." What happens in the back end? A process called as tokenization happens, where every word is broken down, every punctuation, every synonym, every syllable is broken down into a smaller subunit or smaller word. Now each word has been given a token or a numerical value. Now these LLM process these tokens and then they generate human-like text, and that's how we read. That's how we read our interactions with LLM. Now, what are tokens in LLM? That's how software developers' role come in, or what we say our AI engineers' role come in. They work largely on these token counts. For example, let's see if we have 1,000 tokens, we actually can produce 750 words in which we can write a blog article. For example, if we have 4,000 tokens, we can actually produce 3,000 words, which can convert to an essay. So forth, 2 million tokens can actually lead to formation of an encyclopedia. Now that's how various LLM models comes into a competitive market. Various LLM models created by various organizations comes with a token limit, that is estimated word count. For example, if we see ChatGPT, that is by OpenAI, it has a token limit of 32,768, which means the estimated word could be just 25,000. Whereas if we see the Claude by Anthropic, it has more than 1 lakh tokens in it, which means we can generate 60,000 words. That's how LLM competition actually exists in market. Now we have a limitation of these tokens in LLM as well, that is called as context window. What is context window? In easy layman language, I would say a short-term memory of LLM. It refers to the maximum amount of text that model can hold. Every day we must be seeing this window screen in our devices that you hit your user limit. What is actually happening? Let me simplify it to you. Much like you can relate it to human reader who actually lose track of earlier conversation or uh, earlier conversation on very long conversation or very long documents. Similarly, an LLM will begin to lose reference to the earlier parts of conversation once the context limit has reached its limit. So next time when we see it, actually we need to give LLM some time to cope up and get up because it's actually tired. Now, let's see some of the most common LLMs which are going to come up, which we use in our day to day lives, the most popular LLMs, and what are their functionalities. If we see ChatGPT, the most popular and widely used LLM in today's era, and its interface is quite simple. We can write our query. We have a place to write our query. We can upload our documents. We have something called as voice dictation mode, if we have a large text query, we can form that in the form of voice and we can dictate that query. We have voice mode if we want to talk in person with AI like a human. We can actually use the voice mode and AI will become human and talk to you with your query. Then we can change models as well. So every now and then you must have seen that every LLM is coming out with new models. So what happens is in ChatGPT, we are coming up with different models. They're coming up with different models. So automatically, if you don't select a model, it will select the auto version where if you write your query, it will automatically think what model it's need to use and then it will incorporate that model. But you can also manually select whatever model you want. Something called as turn on temporary chats is also available in ChatGPT. What happens in that is that if you want some private conversation or if you want some sensitive topic to be discussed with this LLM model, you can actually on turn on temporary chats. And what happens is those data will not be stored in your history, and then that will never go around to the internet, and that won't be inherited. So these were the features of ChatGPT. Now, moving on, something called as ChatGPT Sora was very much in trend in market these days. But what happened? ChatGPT OpenAI just came up with a new feature in its pro version and its paid version called as ChatGPT Sora. ChatGPT Sora was an open text to video transformation generative model. Now, it was launched in 2026 itself in the beginning of the year, but OpenAI has to shut it down in the March 2026. Now, what they have faced is actually operational cost and financial challenges in the AI industry. Now, we have seen already known about back what were tokens. So imagine if text could take these amount of tokens, images actually takes the double amount of tokens. And what are videos? Videos are basically continuous displaying of images to make a video. So videos actually take a large amount of tokens, which was actually not working with AI, OpenAI, and they had to shut it down because of the operational cost and financial challenges. And it's not just with the OpenAI. Many LLM tools just come up with new models and they have to shut down. And the main reason behind this is the operational cost what they're facing. Moving on, the next most popular model is Perplexity, is another most useful AI tool for researchers. Um, so Perplexity, I would say, is not basically an LLM model. It is basically a web tool. It's give you a web page where you can actually access various types of LLM model in that. So if you go to Perplexity, it's not an LLM tool. It is a window where you can access various types of LLM tools like Sonar, GPT, Gemini, Claude. Sonar is basically Perplexity LLM model version. So if you're saying you are using an Perplexity LLM model, no, you're wrong. You're using Sonar, which is produced by Perplexity. What makes Perplexity different from other LLM models? It gives you tailor-made news. It gives you finance news. It gives you health news according to your searches. So if you go back to your Perplexity account or your window, you will actually in the section Discover you will see news headlines that are coming according to tailor-made your searches. So that's what makes Perplexity different from other LLM backgrounds. Now Perplexity has also come up with something called as Comet browser. Now, what Comet browser is? Similarly, like Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Brave, which are the browsers which we are using in our devices, Comet browser is one which was introduced by Perplexity. Now, what it is beneficial for example, if you open Perplexity and if you directly write um, like I want to open my last mail. So instead of just giving you the link or the steps, how do you open your last mail, it will directly take you to that window. So it has access to all your accounts once you download Comet browser in your device. Moving on, Claude or Claude Code, one of the most popular in demand model of LLM right now, and another powerful AI assistant. Claude is basically known for particularly for its good writing, summary, and long documents. So it is general AI assistant for chatting, writing, and explaining. It is used mainly in our web or mobile interface, and it helps you writing, explaining, and general help. Now, recently, you must have heard a lot about Claude Code. What is that? So, Anthropic has come up with something called as Claude Code. Its features include it is a special AI tool for software development. So, unlike Claude, it is mainly for software developers. It works in the command line that is development environment. So, what makes it different from Claude? If you can upload three PDFs or three documents in one go in Claude, what you can do in Claude Code, you can actually upload like a Google Drive which has 1,000 folders and each folder contains 1,000 files. And Claude Code can actually read each files of them and code according to that. But it again works on that coding language itself. It doesn't work in human text. It automatically reads project files, directly connect to the development environment. Now must be thinking that how Claude Code could be helpful in research. So actually, software developers use Claude Code to make applications, website, or tools using Claude Code within. So maybe we can come up with different AI tools, AI research tools in Claude Code. Moving on, the market is always very competitive. As soon as Anthropic came up with Claude Code version, as soon as as soon as Anthropic came up with Claude Code version, OpenAI also came up with a competitive version called as ChatGPT Codex. Many software developers have different views on both of them, and they are parallelly run on the same context, same functionality, and it's again a debate that which one is better. Now, till now, we have discussed what were open LLM models or what were open large language models. Now, we are going to discuss about what are local LLM models. Local LLM models, basically, since we know that in all field we come up with a lot of data and data which needs to be kept private. So what happens in local LLM models? They are designed to run directly on your user device. So you can actually download them in your device and you can run it without using cloud services or internet. This is not the only benefit. It has improved privacy, and it can actually, you can be working on your sensitive data or confidential data on them without being worried about that my data will be uploaded somewhere on the internet and someone can use it. So that's how LLM models are being useful for security purpose, as it won't be transmitted to the external users. Some of the common LLM models which people download in their devices are Oloma, LM Studios, and GPT-4 for all, which is again an OpenAI local LLM version of model. Now, the heart of the today's session, all these things, how they'll be incorporating or how they're beneficial to public health, is that AI is no longer limited to our field as well, that is public health. There are various domains that it is helping already with, that is electronic health records, health services, disease registration, health insurance providing, global health data, maintaining large data sets, social media, IoT devices, and research as well. One such approach we have already seen, that is by Government of India, has come up with something called as Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission in 2021, in 2021, and their main aim was healthcare closer to every citizen digitally. So they are working with AI model itself to maintain those large health records of patient, tracking health records of patient. For example, a patient is visiting a clinic in Pune, they can, or if they are actually in Delhi, those health records actually travel with them. And how they actually happen, it's because of AI. Backend in the AI, these things, AI is actually helping to maintain these things. Now, particularly if you see AI in research, there are many articles which you will see around. I've talked about the benefits of AI, artificial intelligence, and academic writing and research. And few articles have also quoted that these AI models should be given citation in the research and should be disclosed in the reference section what chat you have used or what AI have used. Now, how AI in research has been incorporated. Every step in our research field has incorporated AI in some or the other way. Starting from the basic idea development and research design, we can take the help of AI, and we can come up with brainstorming sessions, idea generation, to research planning and how can we design a study. To content development, we can use AI as writing assistance or text structuring. To literature review and synthesis, we can extract data and analyze them and synthesize large tables or summaries of that literature. To data management and analysis, we can analyze those large data and interpretation in minutes. Then coming on to the next step, that is editing, review, and publishing those. It helps in writing, refinement, and proofreading. To publish, it can work as a publishing assistant as well, our unpaid publishing assistant. And lastly, the communication and outreach. Once a paper is published, we have to make it reach to the people, and that's how AI can also help us to get that paper outreach to millions of viewers. Now, earlier, before AI was incorporated into the market and research, what were the researchers facing challenges with? Large amount of literature, time consumed reading and writing of those literature, and data analysis complexity. How LLM is now advantageous: it gives a faster literature review, it works as your writing assistance, it helps in data interpretation, it helps in idea generation, and many more. And some of the most popular tools which AI models, which researchers use, and the most recommended by different types of researcher, or various steps are them. Some of them I'll be going to discuss in the coming slides. The core AI models for research, one of them is Claude Opus or Claude. It is strong and long form of writing and reasoning. Again, it's a very powerful AI tool, good for writing, summarizing long documents, and it is best for drafting papers, editing, and even argument building. Next is Imagine 4. It is again by Google, and which we commonly use as Google Gemini Nano Banana version. It works on Imagine 4 model, which convert our text prompts into high quality images, and it is most useful in research in the form of generating figures, infographics, and even converting text into some visual forms. Next, if we move on, it is DeepSeek. It helps in analyzing structured and unstructured data in the form of text, tables, or images. It identifies patterns, generate insights, and explain results. And it is best used for data set interpretation and statistical reasoning. Coming on next, it's Notion AI, most commonly used for organizing research and notes, help in structured literature review. For example, if you want your project to be managed by somebody or organizing the workflow, Notion AI is best in that field. Moving on, we have something called as Notebook LM, which is not only popular in research, but it is also popular among students because sometimes students feel very boring to reach those large college documents. And Notebook LM helps you to convert and summarizes those documents, explain it in a very simple language, and even converts them into podcast or audio discussions. So in today's generation where everyone likes to hear and everyone is reliable on podcast, Notebook LM is what is a good solution to that. Coming on to Gamma AI, is it's no longer a hidden gem. It converts text into structured presentations automatically. It suggests layouts, visual flow. So earlier, when you used to use a PowerPoint presentation, it takes you hours. Now it can be converted into minutes using Gamma. Coming down to Elicit, again, it's a amazing tool mainly used for systematic reviews. It again gives you a very structured workflow where you can actually start with literature search to reading of literature and then extracting and then actually writing a systematic review using that. It is best for Prisma workflow plus evidence synthesis. And lastly, if I talk about it is Geni. It is autocomplete style academic writing assistant, suggests you citations while you write it, and it is a real time research paper drafting. So these tools used together can actually genuinely cut down your research into time into half, of course, with the help of human brain, which is always needed. I want to end my presentation by saying that LLMs are not just a passing trend. Thus, they are becoming foundational tool, and we don't have any other option left other than to learn it and incorporate them in our daily task. And AI won't replace humans, but humans with AI will replace humans without AI. Said by most powerful leaders in the world, and it's truly meaningful. Thank you.